Okay, live from New York City. It's been about a month since I've done one of these. I used to do them quite regular. And oh my, people coming on already. I used to do them quite regular, sometimes one a day. What I will say about these videos is this one, I've not got a panel on for a couple of reasons. I have to keep it generic, and this for business reasons. So I won't be mentioning any businesses. I'm not promoting any business. We're talking about empowerment, synergism, momentum, and I'll get to that and exactly what it means in just a second. So this is completely generic. Doesn't matter what you do, wherever you are, you can utilize some of the lessons that are going on here today. I hope you will. You can. I hope you will. So I just want to go back here, and it's been about a month since I've done one of these. So like anything else, you know, when you're out of practice, you need to just dive yourself in at the deep end. And this one was scheduled originally for 2 weeks ago, and for one reason or another, didn't happen. This, that, and the other. And I've got that many tabs open on my Mac here, and I don't really shut it off. When I do, I reboot it back up with everything open, and I just went, "What's this tab?" All I can see is the word empower. And oh dear, I've not done this. Should have done this about 2 weeks ago. So I want to start here with, you know, in 2002, I kind of dropped out and went to, you know, did my thing for a while and went on Facebook, I want to say around 2009. And within a week or so, one of the guys that I'd hired and trained from zero called me and want him to help him in his business. So the story with this guy is, I'm in Manchester, England. I go on Facebook, try not to be found, get found. He pitches me on getting back in his business. I say no straight away. So it turns out he's living, when I met him, he was from, I'm going to use his name. His name's Fraser. It doesn't matter. Originally, he was from Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about his story and how it all works together. And then when he called me, he was down in Houston, Texas, which was quite a surprise. And he said, "I really need your help. I really need your help." Excuse me. I'm in the energy business, which I used to be in, natural gas reselling. And I need your help, need your help, need your help. And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm retired. I don't do that stuff anymore." And he said, "You don't understand. I got a brand new baby. I got a 3-year-old. I'm traveling around 5 cities of Texas. I've got 5 offices. I'm doing really, really well. My wife understands it. Beautiful family, but I'm on the road 5 days a week, and I'm just not, I need your help." And I said, "I don't do it. I'm not interested." And he said, "Well, you know, the challenge I'm with these 5 cities." I said, "Okay, you're doing a lot of driving. Big deal. That's the job. You know, sometimes if that's what you chose." He said, "No, I'm flying between cities. It's Texas." So, you know, he still wasn't tugging at my cords. And he tells me, and, you know, I was happy to hear they'd done really well. And from there, he carries on. We talk a bit more. And he says, "I really need your help. I need your help for a couple of weeks. Need your help, need your help, need your help." And I just kept saying, "No, no, 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 no." And it's one of those defining moments that you remember in your life. And I remember I was in Manchester, England, in a coffee shop on Deansgate, looking out the window, and it was raining persistently, we'll call it. And it was November time. I made the error of saying, "What's the weather like in Houston?" And he said, "Well, right now it's 80 and sunny." And I look out this dreary, grey, brown, blur window in the coffee shop. I said, "You know, here's the deal. Here's my bank details. Show me how much you want me, and I'll give you 2 weeks. You've got to pay all the expenses and give me a cut." And he said, "Fine." And within literally 5 minutes, he'd put a bunch of money in my account. And, you know, I regularly do that to test out if people are serious. So I agreed, and I called him back up, and I said, "I'll be there the first week in January." Now, the reasoning for that is twofold. To start a business, or in his case, for me to help his business, that was a face-to-face business. And the beginning of December, this was late November, I was talking to him, the beginning of December, in face-to-face businesses, some people get what I call Christmas mode. It means their brain just shuts down. They're in, you know, just like that's all that's on the mind. And I said, you know, Fraser, here's the deal. I said, as I see it, you've got 5 offices. You've got Houston, Dallas, Corpus Christi, McAllen, one other one. I can't remember where it was now. What was your office? Not that it matters. It was somewhere down there anyway. It wasn't in one of the bigger cities. And I said, so let's focus on 2 cities and don't worry about the rest. Let's get some momentum going in Dallas and Houston. They're both big cities. I know that. And he said, okay, yeah, makes sense. I think the other one was Laredo, actually. Makes sense. I said, but I'm not coming over beginning of December. Why? I'll just give you some money. I said, well, there's no point. I said, if you got me for 2 weeks, we'll create a bunch of momentum for 2 weeks and I'll be there. And then as soon as I've gone, the momentum's gone and you hit January static, dead. So I'll come over the first 2 weeks in January. I'll work with you then. So I'm on the phone with him. He said, so what are you going to do between now and January? I said, I'm going to go to the bank every Monday morning and see how much money you've put in for me and enjoy December. And then I'll come to January refreshed and you've got me. And that's what I did. I landed there what was it? Probably second week in January. Landed in Houston, no idea what I'm doing. Lost my luggage on the flight. Like everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. And got there, didn't know what I was doing. I thought he would pick me up at the airport. He wasn't there. I get picked up the next morning, taken to his office in Houston. He's in another city. People are running his office, and from an outsider's point of view, there was too much politics going on there. There was too many people complacent in there. His receptionist had been there like 2 years, and she was sat as a reception, in a fleece and just really miserable. Like if someone's on reception like that, they got to go. Can't have them. That's the first impression you've got of a business. And then there was some other thing about these recruiters. She didn't like this girl, and he was talking about them. And I just thought, what have I got myself into here? This is BS. I don't want to get involved with this. So I'm not the sort of guy that keeps my mouth shut, which is fine. I call him up and say, listen, here's the deal. You got to get rid of the girl on here. You got to get rid of her. You got to get rid of her, start fresh. And said, Tony, I'm back in 3 days. Don't destroy my business. I said, no, Fraser, you asked me to help. I'm going to help. So I was kind of diplomatic. He did get rid of certain people because he kind of got, sometimes you need a third party to see things from the outside. So when someone goes for an hour's lunch, a receptionist, for example, goes for an hour's lunch, the minute she comes back, she takes a bathroom break for 10 minutes. That tells me a lot about someone's attitude and the general vibe in the place. Got to go. Okay, gone stale, needs refreshing. So he did that, made a few tweaks. Then he said, we're going to Dallas. So I went to Dallas because he has an office in Dallas. So we drove up to Dallas. I remember he had a S63 AMG Mercedes, one of these top of the range things. But they're ridiculous. It's a car that does 190 miles an hour in a 55-mile speed. That makes sense. So we drive up to Dallas. For me, it might as well have been the same place. It's just, I'm in Texas. I'm fine. The weather was nice. I was quite happy with that. We get there, and the first day in the office in Dallas, his office manager pulls me up and says, you can't come in the office like that. And I said, well, what do you mean, like what? He said, well, you've not had a shave, and you've got a T-shirt on and a pair of jeans, and we don't do business like that. And I said, here's reality. No one comes in the office. Who cares what anyone looks like? And I said, your numbers are down. So if you think the biggest issue is the way people are dressed or whether they've had a shave or not, you don't understand business, because it's simply numbers. That's it. You're in an office where no one's coming to the office. Who cares how you dress? Who cares? So one thing led to another. And I basically said, this is what I'm here to help. I'm not here as a fashion parade. So if you're sat there in your chinos and loafers and your whatever, your button-down shirt, I got news for you. Okay, you're going to last 5 minutes with me. Okay, I don't have time for this nonsense. Okay, it doesn't matter. We're in an office where people don't come in. We're not seeing customers in this office. Makes no difference. So one thing led to another, and then he said, well, what if everyone came dressed like you in the office? I said, yeah, and what if that happened and your business quadrupled in a day? Would you care? Well, it's not a good corporate image. Yeah, but no one sees it. It doesn't matter. And he didn't get it. And what had happened with Fraser, he kind of got caught up in this corporate thing too. Well, that's the image you want to project. No one sees anyone. Who cares? It's like if you work from home, who cares? I put these shirts on to do these videos because they can go anywhere. And I love these shirts. But, you know, there's a whole bunch of videos of me in gym shirts and things like that. It's, you know, doesn't matter. So that's where we're at. Anyway, he quit. The office manager quit overnight. I ended up with a business I didn't want in the first place. And I had to make it go. So I just applied the same principles I've always applied in building a business or building a team. Always the same. So a couple of things: empowerment, synergy, momentum. Now, when I went back and took over this office, they'd automated a bunch of stuff. So people would still come in physically for interviews, still come in physically for training. They'd still be physically based out of an office, even though they're going out on the road. But what I saw is it was all videoed. When I was there, it was just, you know, it was me or someone else talking. You'd have to do this stuff out of memory. You'd operate on no notes. Whether you're recruiting, you're training, you just do it. And again, it's through practice, 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 practice. So I put this video on. You know, this is what we got to show them. So we've got to show them this, and then we show them that. Okay. Well, it wasn't even video. What was it? DVD. Okay. So I put on this thing, and the company had its own cribs, like MTV Cribs. I'm not naming the company, it doesn't matter. But the company had its own cribs video, which was going around these people's houses that work with a company. They might be running an office for the company or whatever it may be. And they go around the houses and they have these huge mansions. And all these people were self-made people that all came in entry level. We never hired anyone outside of entry level. You could be Richard Branson, you could be Donald Trump. That's great. You've not been in this business. Sit in the starter seat like everybody else. You know what? If you are Richard Branson and Trump, you'll get this way quicker, and you'll just go bum, 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 in days. Doesn't matter. Still got to go through the basics. Okay, it's different industry. Got to go through the basics. So I'm watching these videos, and I'm going, I'm sure I know this guy. There's this huge house somewhere in Canada, and he goes out and he's got the Jeep and the snowmobile and this toy and that toy and the Ferrari on the ramp in the garage. I'm going, sure I know this guy. And it was someone else's house. Oh, sure I know this guy. Similar sort of thing. Sure I know this guy. And at the end of this video, and it was a promo type thing, and it was saying these are our $1 million earners. I'm going, and there was tens of these people. I hired and trained that guy. I hired and trained that girl. I hired and trained them. No, that guy I don't know. That's one of mine. Ah, no, he was trained by that guy, and I trained that guy. And then it was the $5 million earners. It was even more people I'd done. And then $10 million earners. I know that guy. President of the company, or whatever his title was. I recruited that guy. I trained that guy from zero. So the interesting thing is Fraser, when he came in for an interview, and he's told this story live to numerous people. He came in, he drove, I'm not going through his whole life story, but, you know, he'd gone through a series of jobs and up and downs and dropped out of school and the whole thing. And he worked in construction, yada, yada. Then the economy changed, got laid off. And basically his parents told him he had to go get a job or get out of the house or something like that. And he drove, we put very back then, and this is not pre-internet days, but it wasn't utilized for recruiting the way it is today. In fact, it might, you know what, it might have been pre-internet days. I want to say, oh crap, 93. So we put an ad. I was in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm not telling that whole story now. That's on lots of videos. I was in Hamilton, Ontario. I went from $20 a week to $28,739 a week in 8 weeks. First week, $20. 8th week, $28,739 for the week. Not for the 8 weeks, for the 1 week. So he was part of that story. I learned at $20, and this is about momentum, then synergy, comes through empowerment. So, the first week I worked, and it was at the time we were in the long distance deregulated industry, because that was what was hot at the time. So you got to move with what's hot. You can't sit in an industry for 3-5 years, because especially now, things just move on so fast. Think about it. I didn't queue up, but I got a 5S iPhone last year, but there was queuing around the block to get them. I waited a month or 3 weeks. Now you can get one anywhere. It's old hat. It's last year's news. It's no good. Okay, that's how quick things change. So I vaguely remember Fraser coming in. So I've been going in Hamilton maybe about 2 or 3 weeks, not much more, maybe a month tops. And I basically started, had, I don't know, 500, 1,000 phone calls, because there was no send your resume in or anything like that. Yeah, coming in for an interview, what's the job about? Tell you when you get here. That was it. Wouldn't tell them anything over the phone. Okay, if someone wants a job, they'll show up. If they're desperate for work, they'll show up. They need to show up and hear what I've got to say. I'm not spending 15, 20 minutes on a phone with one person when I've got 1,000 people waiting. So I did that. I trained a great lady called Trish, who's still floating around the universe somewhere. Every now and again I connect with her. And she learned how to do these ads. And she would question, like, why are we doing it this way? Trish, have faith in it. I know what I'm doing. We had 100,000 people through an office door for interviews over 5 years. 5 years in Toronto, Ontario. That's roughly 1 out of 30 people that live in the city of Toronto, Ontario, came through the office door for an interview. So I know how to get people through the doors. Okay, what am I looking for? Nothing. At that point, I'm looking for someone that comes through the door. What if they're idiots? What if they're idiots? You don't hire them. Big deal. So Fraser was just one of many guys that came through the door, and he's told this story. He just we advertised in Hamilton, and we found that we're getting good traffic out of Hamilton, so I increased my ad budget. And I went further afield and started advertising in a place called St. Catharines, which is down the Niagara Peninsula, or whatever you call that. And then Brantford, then Hamilton, then Kitchener-Waterloo, then some other area. And we basically made the area bigger, and we had a bigger catchment area. And some of these people would drive an hour and a half to an interview, which told me the unemployment was horrendous wherever they were, and they weren't lazy. Anyone that comes to an hour and a half to an interview, there's probably about an 80% chance that I would hire them. Why? In the UK, I had a guy come 13 hours to an interview. Before I interviewed him, I said, listen, you got the job. You've not looked at anything. You come 13 hours to an interview, the rest I can teach you. Okay, that's easy. Okay, what I can't teach you is desire. I can't teach you how to be hungry, but you've got that. Whether it's through adversity or drive or whatever, you've got it. So at the time, I didn't even see people on the way in the door. I was kind of just sat in my own office, and Trish and Renee was the other. That's a second person, and they'd usher them into a group room. I'd come out, stand in front of the room, and do my thing, explain what it is we do, what it is we, what the company does, what the job entails, how the pay works, and I basically say, I'm going to interview you all on a one-on-one basis. I've told you all the story. For anyone that's not interested, please get up and leave. And no one left. People just didn't leave. And sometimes when Fraser's told this story, he waited 3 hours for an interview. I generally always had pool tables or something like that in the offices, keep people occupied. And he tells a story. I have no recollection of this. It was just a number. There was no emotion attached to any of this, none whatsoever. Just people coming through the door, and I do my best, and they come in and try and sell me on why I should recruit them. And at the time, I used to be big into, really wild Versace suits. And apparently I was wearing a lime green suit, an orange shirt, flowered shirt, and a pair of flip-flops to do a recruiting session. And I just bought a Porsche 928 in black. And the only reason I remember this because Fraser tells this story. And I'd gone from zero to that Porsche in 8 weeks. Fraser tells this story. He said, when I showed up, he said, I just saw this guy with this strange accent that literally looked like he'd come off a movie set I hadn't got a clue what he was talking about. And he said, I was in, and Fraser looked like Jim Morrison back then. He had long, shaggy hair, literally looked like he got off stage. You know, just wearing jeans and a denim shirt, looked like he just got off stage. And he's told his story. To me, it was nothing, because I don't remember his interview per se. He remembers that day walking in the office and seeing some guy coming in like the dude, and you know, there's a bunch of people there from 18 to 70 years old, of all races, sexes, doesn't matter. And it didn't faze me. I was just comfortable wearing flip-flops and, you know, dressing like that. And that was me. I wasn't out to impress anyone. Listen, if you're offended by what I wore, good, leave, next. Can't work with you. And he tells the story. He said, I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what the job was. I had no idea how it paid. And he said, when he came for this interview, he said, this guy, I figured out it was his Porsche outside. He said, this guy put his feet on the desk, meaning me, with his flip-flops on, and said, why do you want to work here? And Fraser tells the story. He said, why do I want to work here? I want to do what you do. I want to be like you. And I said, that's it. I said, yeah, that's it. Okay, you're hired. Coming in Monday. And that was it. You know what? He was just honest. I got a good vibe from him. I didn't care that he looked like Jim Morrison. It didn't matter to me. I didn't care that he was in a position dealing with the public. I didn't say, go and get your hair cut. It's fine. You know what? If you're comfortable in your own self, it makes no difference. You know, I draw a line at tattoos all over the face. It's not great for dealing with the public. But, you know, it makes no difference. So he came in, did the training class. And this is a perfect story for empowerment, synergy, and momentum. So, did the training class, and I put him with a guy. I just remember this guy's name was Mark. Was it Mark? Yeah, it was Mark. Mark lived in Guelph, Ontario. Mark was a great guy. Mark ended up getting ill with us. He ended up something like the youngest ever regional manager for Coca-Cola or something in his 20s. And he was a guy that came through my training class. So, you know, I kept in touch with him over the years. I've lost contact now, which is a shame. And Mark trained Fraser, just took him out, showed him how the job works. At the time, we're all door to door. Fraser, it took him a little while, couldn't get it. But he's told the story as his dad gave him $100. And he said, here's what you do with your $100. This is your business investment. That was a gift as a business investment. He said, you fill your tank with gas, it was maybe $50. You find the most productive person in the office at what you're doing, and you ask them if you can buy them a coffee. And then pick their brains. So Fraser tells the story. The best guy we had in the office, who was the best in the company, completely across the whole country, again, a raw recruit, guy called Rob Flynn. I trained him, recruited him, trained him, showed him how to do it, just broke records. Just literally, this guy's like a machine. So, unbeknownst to me, Fraser, you know, both these guys are about the same age. Fraser asked Rob if he could, I found this out after the fact, if he could buy him a coffee. Ended up buying him a sandwich for lunch and shadowed him all day. And Fraser got it, and then went off doing his thing and got better at it and got better at it and got better at it. You know, at the time, we used to have these contests, and there was this specific one, and it was for Cancun, Mexico, I believe. And, you know, there was about 10 people at my office that had qualified. So I call head office saying, you know what, my guys are a bit wild. Someone needs to keep an eye on them. I'll volunteer. I think I'm going to get chewed out. It didn't really matter. I was a contractor. It didn't matter. And someone needs to keep an eye on them. And the head office says, yeah, that's a good idea. You should go with them. I'll come with you. I said, okay, that's great. But then, because we had momentum, and what do I mean by momentum? If you're doing something this week, or you're doing something today, and you're doing something the next day, and the next day, and the next day, doesn't matter if it's a holiday or whatever it is, and it is whether it's going to the gym, eating whatever, you get in that habit, and it creates momentum. And momentum has a half-life. So if you stop doing something for a week, you do not start where you left off. It's going to take you at least another week, generally 2, to get back. So a week off technically can turn into 2 or 3 weeks off. Now, I got this hiring training machine down to a fine art. I didn't want it to stop for a week. I wanted it to carry on, but I also wanted to go to Mexico for a week. So in a meeting, once a week, we used to do sales meetings. People are coming from all over. Sales meetings, we hand out the paychecks, and we used to get paid by check back then. And, you know, anyone got a check over 2,000, 3,000 to get it, you know, hand clap, that type of thing. We used to have weekly prizes. And this one week, I said, right, here's the good news, guys. We're going to Mexico, and 10 of you have qualified, and Fraser was one of them. I'm using number 10, it might be more. And I'm coming with you. And I'm not sure if they were happy about that or not. I said, but listen, guys, I'm not coming to spy on you. I'm just going to have a good time. I need a break as well. You know, you're out doing this. I'm doing it in here. We all need a break. But I need someone to keep the recruiting machine going. I need someone, and that person is going to learn what that person is going to do. I'm going to take them out the field for a week beforehand. I'm going to teach them how to recruit, how to train, the whole thing. Okay. And for that week, you're not going to be out writing deals as much. You might have a team or whatever. And I had about 3 or 4 people thinking they could do this. This person or this person or this person would be ideal. And I said, so who wants to do it? And literally, these guys just went like that, looked down, completely looked at each other, thinking like, screw you, we're going to Mexico. Apart from Fraser. And Fraser stuck his hand up and said, I'll do it. And as heartless as this sounds, I actually said, I wasn't thinking about you. Ooh, that's nasty, isn't it? Didn't mean it in a nasty way. I just wasn't thinking about him. And I just said what? Blurted out my mouth with no thought process at all. So anyway, two or 3 days later, there's a bunch of them in the office. I think they were picking up new people to train or something like that. I pulled Fraser aside because all these other guys hadn't stepped up. They weren't interested. So I pulled Fraser aside. I said, you know what? I was actually thinking about you. It was just a bit of a test. And he went, yeah, okay, you know, whatever. And he was still had the Jim Morrison thing and the denim shirt and the jeans. And I said, okay, Fraser, here's your chance. You know, you've done a good job getting the ball rolling yourself. Then you've done a good job building your team and retention in your team and training your team. So there's no reason whatsoever that I would think you can't do the next step. Just because you look like Jim Morrison, I don't care. Okay? Doesn't matter. No, you know, it makes no difference. So Fraser steps in. He keeps it going while I'm in Mexico having a good time. The numbers weren't the same, but I wouldn't expect them to be the same. And that's not an egotistical thing. That was his first go. This is my first back in a month. It's not going to be, you know, in my mind, probably not going to be as good as the ones I was doing 2 months ago. I've had a break from it. So there's the rule. Momentum. We kept that momentum machine going. We kept recruiting. We kept hiring. We kept the ads in there. We kept training as though just because I wasn't there made no difference at all. We just kept it going. I wasn't calling from, I went to Mexico. I never picked up the phone once. I figured we won't be bankrupt in a week. Doesn't matter. Whatever I come back to, I'm coming back to something that's going. So as it happens, he probably hit about 60, 70, maybe 80% of what I did results-wise, which was fantastic. And we kept it going. And then what happened then is we started creating some synergy with all these teams. And then people got this belief that, hey, you know, I can run an office. Tony doesn't care what I look like. Tony doesn't care that I think Fraser might have been 22 years old at the time, I'd guess. Tony doesn't care. If he sees I've got the skill set, if he sees I'm determined, if he sees whatever it is, these guys going through the mind, they got the belief. Now, belief also creates this momentum. So when you've got a bunch of people all going the same direction, then this creates synergy. So 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 + 1 is probably 4. 1 + 1 + 1 is probably 10 because everyone's going in the same direction. One person pushes a car, gets the ball, gets the tires moving, maybe. Second person gets the tires moving. Third person gets it going. That's momentum. Fourth person comes, puts 2 fingers on it. All of a sudden, this car's flying. That's synergy. That's everyone pushing it in the same direction or pulling for the same thing or doing the same thing. And when you get this massive, 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 massive synergy going, It's like the snowball. The momentum is to get it going, get it going, get it going. Then all of a sudden, everything gets drawn into it, like the vortex. Everything gets drawn into it. Everything's path. Nothing can stop it. Going down the hill, nothing can stop it when you get this going. So from there, to get to that point, if I'm going like, okay, you're going down the hill, let me hold you back, let me hold you back, let me hold you back. That is not empowering. Empowering is, you can do this. You can do this. Okay, let's learn this, let's try this, let's do this, let's do that, let's all do this together. And it reminds me of a story out in Canada. The guy spins his car off the road in the snow, and he can't find a tractor or anything. The only thing he finds is this one guy walking this blind donkey. And he says to the guy, I'm trying to get my car out, this snowdrift, this old farmer. And he says, oh, yeah, George the donkey, he'll be able to do that. And he looks at this decrepit old blind donkey and thinks, no chance. He said, no, George the donkey will do that. So they harness this donkey up to the car, and the farmer starts saying, come on, George, you can do this. Come on, George, dig in. Come on, Dave the donkey. Come on, Frank the donkey. Come on, Eric the donkey. And this guy's looking around going, this farmer's nuts. There's only one donkey here. Come on, Charlie the donkey. Come on, Arthur the donkey. And the donkey pulls the car out the drift. And the guy says to the farmer, am I missing something here? He said, well, a donkey on its own can't pull a car out of a snowdrift. But it's a blind donkey. Yeah? So if he hears me saying, come on, Paul, George, Ringo, whatever, he knows he's not on his own. So he believes he can do it. He believes I'm empowering the donkey. I'm giving him the belief. The synergy is involved with all these other donkeys that you and I know are not there. But George the donkey doesn't know he's not there. So he believes he's got synergy. And as soon as that car starts moving, he believes that everyone's pulling in the same direction. All these donkeys I created are pulling with him. He doesn't know they're not there. So the belief created creates the momentum, the empowerment, the synergy, all these things together. But if you've got one donkey pulling the opposite direction, or someone whispers in that donkey's ear, the other ones are make-believe, they don't exist. They'll lose all the belief, lose all its momentum, lose all its synergy. Boom, it's done. So I'm going to wrap this. All I would say is, on that video, about 80% of the people that are either 1, 5, or 10 million plus earners I'd either hired and trained, just trained, or that they were hired or trained by someone that I'd hired and trained. It might have been Fraser or whoever it may be. That is synergy. So you empower the people to start with. They get some momentum. They start empowering others. It creates some synergy, and you let it go. And I've built every single business like this. I've not got involved. I've not interfered once things flying. I'm not involved in politics. This guy does this. I don't like his hair. I don't like her. She drinks too much. She does this. He does that. He smokes. She doesn't. He smokes weed. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Okay. We're all working together. And what you do when you're not working is no one's business. Okay. And it's the same way. I don't judge if someone's male, female, old, young, black, white. I don't care. Doesn't matter. It's not important. We're in a business building business. Those things are all completely irrelevant. If everyone's going the same direction, everyone feels good about themselves, everyone's having a good time. Everything else just, just it runs with it. So, 80% of all those people is kind of something that, I feel a lot about. And it's nothing to do with the fiscal side for me. Okay, most of that I never saw anything of. But it's something that goes forward. And these messages I'm putting out here right now, I used to have a very specific way that I learned of physiology. When you're speaking to someone on the doorstep and you want them to go get a gas bill or a phone bill, there's a very, very specific, exact, precise physiology of telling someone how to get a phone bill that bats 100%. So I created this 20 years ago, a year ago, not even less, maybe 8 months ago, right here in New York City. I created this like the other side of a different country. Right here in New York City. Buzzer goes in the building, I let someone in, it's cameras, I'm not bothered, So, this guy knocks on the door, does this 30, not even, 10-second, blah, 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 go grab the bill. And I fell apart laughing. And he said, what's funny? Go grab the bill. I'm not doing the physiology in here. You're not getting that lesson free. Okay, you want that one? You can have it. You got to pay for how to get bills. Okay, so he does this thing and I fall about laughing. And he said, just go get the bill. And just the whole body language thing. And I'm not doing it on here. And I'm like, what's funny? I said, I created this 20 years ago in a different country, what you just did. I have no idea who you are. I have no idea who the company is you work for. I probably don't know the person that trained you or the person that trained him or the person that trained him, or maybe I don't know them. I don't know. But the reality is that method and technique that I developed over 20 years ago in a different country has just come a full circle right around to my own doorstep right here. And he said, who are you? I said, it doesn't matter, I'm just a guy. But I said, you know what? You're doing a great job, carry on. And he went, can you go get the bill? I said, no, no. The bill's not in my name. Okay, I had a 2-bed. The bill wasn't in my name. There's no use to you. I can go through a whole thing and you won't be able to do it. So went through all this, but the techniques, the methods, it doesn't change. It doesn't matter what the business is. It's always exactly the same. Empower your people. Create some momentum. When you get that momentum, glue your people, build a team, which creates the synergy, which creates the results. And that energy level, like the vortex, that energy level, we all get swept up in it, like the snowball going down the hill. We get swept up. Nobody can stop that thing coming down the hill. So where's this left? I worked with Fraser for a while. Fraser had shifted a lot. I still talk to him, great guy. Had shifted a lot towards a more corporate mentality. And he was then trying to get me, suggesting I should dress, well, not so much me, because it wouldn't really work with me, but suggesting the people that work with me dress in a certain way. And I said, Fraser, when I hired you, when I trained you, you look like Jim Morrison and you got results. Corporate want this thing. I said, I don't care. You want results? Or are we running, JP Morgan here? We're dealing with consumers at the homes, okay? The minute you show up in a suit, if you're working with, even the commercial side, they're working with garages and store owners and cafe owners. You show up in a suit and tie, you're out the door. You look like forget about it. Okay, so, but he got caught up in the whole corporate mentality of, whining and dining and all the rest of it. And it just like you can get so far removed from reality that your perception of reality is totally different because you've not got your sleeves up and you're not in the trenches. So, good guy. I think his best year, I'm pretty sure he said his best year he made about 5 million. I'm sure that was his best year. I might be wrong. give or take. You know, he's still with his family. You know, still got the family. Still talks to him. Everything's good. Now works as a consultant for the industry, and you know, he's a 7-figure annual earner who is a guy that if he came in for most people's interviews wouldn't have even got an interview. 22-year-old Jim Morrison lookalike saying, well, dude, I want to be like you. Yeah. Fine. You know, the last president I know of a public company that I had and trained came in for the initial interview, looked like he'd been on a 3-day bender and woke up in a skip. Yeah, he was hungry. I took him on. I was right. So that's what we've got, guys. This is my first one back for a while. For those of you that are watching this, I really, really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. Create some momentum. Build a team. Okay? Empower your team. Let your team do their thing. Don't micromanage. Let them do it. Okay? Once you know how to do it, let them do it. And then gel and build that team even stronger. Then together you get that synergy like the snowball down the hill. Boom. Can't stop it. Guys, The Real Tony Cohen live from New York City, Spanish Harlem. When are we here? We're December 2014, guys. Happy holidays. I'm going to try and do one of these every day on something else. And thanks so much for listening, everyone. You can find me on, well, YouTube, wherever.